Good morning and welcome to the Greenwich Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm Greg Skidmore, president of Belray Asset Management, and I'm here with my co-host Pedro Ramirez, a wealth manager here at Belray Asset Management. And our guest today is Varesh Sachdev, and he's the president of DBA Web Technologies. And so I want to say, Varesh, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. So you've got a company that helps businesses with their IT services, and why don't you just tell us a little bit about your firm?
Okay. We started this company in DBA Web Technologies in 2007. When I started, the idea was that I'm myself a database expert. So I thought I'll start it as a one-man show company. I'll do my database work. Maybe we can have one or two assignments at a time. 2 months later, I realized, I think we can do a lot more, and I can maybe provide jobs to some other people, because that was the time economy had started impacting people. I expanded my services area from just database to many other domains. And I think at this point, we have practically everything that we can think of within the IT service industry, we do cover. One major thing that we have done recently was we have a new on-demand IT support model. What's that is, in this economy, you see every day many companies are going down, big companies are suffering, and small companies are suffering because they depend on big companies. Mm-hmm. When a company goes down, they say, okay, the first thing that comes to mind, let's cut down some people so that's the only way we can survive. They have 20 people in the IT department, they bring it down to 12. Now, but they still have those clients. Now, it's difficult for them to satisfy the client's requirements on a daily basis as good as it was. Now clients are complaining, look, what's wrong? Now we are waiting for 20 minutes, now we wait for 3 hours. Why? Because they lost 8 people. In that process, some of the clients whose business depends on these services, they say, it's difficult to work with you, so they lose that client. You lose one client, you lose revenue, and now you're in trouble again. You need to cut down more people.
It's such a tough decision as a business owner, because you're fighting to keep costs down right now. But at the same point, to your point, if you can't lose customers. I mean, replacing revenue is harder than keeping it.
Exactly. And that's where I have a very good solution I'm offering to people. And actually, I wrote a couple of articles in some newspapers. What I'm saying is, if you believe you have reached a point you cannot pay full salary to 20 people because you don't need 20 people, and you don't need everybody 40 hours a week. You still need some people, but maybe not 40 hours a week. Yeah. You decide to lay off. I tell them, the day you decide I want to lay off 8 of my staff, talk to me. Do not lay off. I'll hire them.
Is this something that's come to be in demand recently versus before? Your work was slightly different, because I've talked to there's a friend of mine that has an HR company, mm-hmm. and it's basically HR on demand. I mean, it's very similar, and he's seeing a trend where at first they went to him and they said, we don't need your services. Then they fired the HR person, and then they went back to him and they said, can you come and we need you again. So I'm sort of curious what it's been like, for you through this last 2 years. While you're, because it sounds, the solution is exactly what business owners need right now. They only need to pay for what they need to use, and no more, at least right now.
Yeah, it started happening more recently. Mm-hmm. So what I do, you say you don't need 20 people, you don't want to get rid of 8 of those. And you tell them, out of those 8, these 4 are really the top cream of my company. I don't want to lose them, but I cannot pay their salary. I tell them, before you make that call, talk to me. Which 4 people you want to be still working with you without you paying full 40-hour salary? He gives the name of these people. I say, okay, do not kick them out. I'll hire them same minute.
Really?
On the paper, they say, okay, the leaving company ABC, they're joining DBA Web Technologies as a consultant. Now I tell, okay, you need this person for how many hours? 10 hours this person, 20 hours this person, 25 hours this person, because I cannot pay 40 hours salary. Mm-hmm. Fine. These people are now on my payroll. I have many such clients who need the same type of person, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. Now this same person who was about to be laid off, mm-hmm. did not lose the job. He still works 15 hours with the same company where he was working 40 hours, but I'm giving him a little more work. Okay, you have to do a little extra with the 2 or 3 clients, 10 hours with this person, 20 hours with this person. Sometimes, if they're willing to work, they actually work 50, 60 hours a week if they are willing to do that.
That's great.
So you'll let them work with others of your
Other
clients
people also,
as well.
because there are many small companies in the same situation. See,
Right.
I cannot pay 40 hours salary plus all those insurance benefits and everything. So on one side, I tell these companies, look, you're not losing revenue because you still get people. You don't lose the best employees you have because you cannot pay salary. And these people, tell me, if one person loses a job, what's going to happen to their family? Is he going to buy anything beyond bare essentials? No. And multiply this with 500,000 people losing job every month.
Right.
Why
That's
this
a big
economy is going
number.
down? Look at the whole impact.
So, I've heard something from you a few times, which I think is really interesting. You seem to have a value, like a social value to you. You believe in
I think that's very important for
employing
me.
people, and it sounds like you enjoy employing people and keeping them
On the job.
on the job. Yeah.
What hurts me most is watching a family, you're having a great job for the last 10 years working in this company, all of a sudden company is not in a good position, you lose the job, and then you cannot find a job in this market.
Yeah.
It's difficult for me to see 500,000 people every month happening to, and in some cases, husband lost a job, wife lost a job. What do you do? You have kids to feed, you have other things to feed, and the result is fine. We'll buy bare essentials, food for kids, nothing else. When people start doing that, nobody goes to the stores, nobody eats out, and these things, that's what is impacting the economy. So
Yeah.
that's the circle that never stops, and that's what has been happening.
Just to remind everybody, we're talking to Varesh Sachdev. He is the president of DBA Web Technologies, and his website is dbawebtechnologies.com. Varesh, how did you? Let's go back to the beginning. When you actually started the company. So, who was your first customer? I mean, how did it? How did it get launched?
Same thing happened to me many years back when a company went down and I lost the job. I found another job, started working.
What year was that?
That was 2003.
Okay.
That was a long back.
You were in the technology field.
Yeah, I was always in the technology
Okay.
field.
Okay.
And in 2000, towards the end of 2006, 2007, where I was working, I had a pretty good position. And I started saying, look, now things are impacting many companies. And before that happens to me, first of all, I'll not let that happen to me again. Mm-hmm. And before, I knew this will happen. Mm-hmm. Because that company will gradually go down one day. I said, okay, I have a time. Let me start something at a very small scale. I am talented. I'm expert in my field. So that at least if something like that happens, I don't end up in that situation. And let's face it, when you're 20 years old, you get a job easily.
Sure.
That equation changes with
Right.
age. That's a reality. I mean, people accept it or not, that happens. I don't want that happen to me.
Sure.
That's the reason I decided, okay, and I thought maybe I'm expert in database. It'll be one small one-man show company in database work I'll do. And then 2 months later, as I said, I realized, we can do a lot more. And when I saw people losing jobs, I said, look, I'm hiring somebody anyway. If I can hire for database work, why cannot hire for a Unix expert? Why can't I hire for an Oracle expert? That's how I started expanding, and I'm glad to see.
So from the beginning, did you have this model of, sort of on demand, or did you bring people on full salary, or how did you? Was it always using people kind of on a consulting level?
More of the people I have is on the consulting level because most of the clients, and I'm a very small company. So clients, they come to me, they'll give me some small project, maybe 2 months or 3 months. So I hire a person, tell them, look, you'll be working with this client for a 3-month project. Before that happens, I'll make sure I'll find something else for you.
Right.
And if I look back, not even a single person I had to lay off. And I think once in an interview in 2007, one of the magazines were talking to me, and I told them, this is my dream. I'll make this company so different from others that not a single person will ever lose this job in this company. And I am keeping that promise till today.
That's pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so the revenue, they might earn a little bit more, a little bit less, but at least they're just not thrown to the street.
Yes, I make sure that at least something happens. They get some project, short, small, big, even if it's 2 months, even if it's 6 months, doesn't matter. But they keep getting something so that they're not sitting at home without pay or back to unemployment or looking for a job again, because they will not find a job in this market.
So to really, paint a picture for our audience, what's an example of a client and what is something you've done for them?
There's one of the clients, I don't want to name the client because
That's okay.
they don't even know.
No, you don't have
That's
to
fine.
name.
You
So this company was going down, and they are still in a situation where they think, I don't know what we'll be able to do. Will we survive or not? And they were looking for people. They said, look, I want to hire somebody maybe for 2 months, 3 months. We cannot pay them benefits. We don't know. 3 months later, we may not have money to pay. I said, fine. You need one person or two persons? Talk to me. What do you need? I gave them a person. Next day, they said, I sent them 2 or 3 candidates. They talked to 2 candidates. They wanted one person. They said, well, they seem to be so good. Can we take both of them? I said, fine, great. The 2 people got the job.
That's terrific.
They have locations now. This last week, they wanted somebody in Indiana. I'm based in Connecticut. They said, we need somebody in Indiana. I said, well, I place my ads on Dice, which is everywhere.
Yeah.
I can find somebody from you. But we need only somebody for 1 week. I placed an ad, got a couple of people, gave them, they picked one person.
That's
he worked
great.
for 1 week. Monday morning, next Monday, August 3rd, one of the persons in Michigan they need, we already tied up, interview is done. He's starting on the morning of August 3rd. That's again a 1 week project. Now this person is actually on unemployment. He said, okay, I got something, we did the paperwork. I think they had to inform the unemployment division that I have a job for 1 week so that paperwork is done. So we did that yesterday. He'll be there for 1 week. Now this was a company who never thought we can even pay a salary of one person in that domain.
Yeah.
And now they have 4 people, 2 on a very long-term basis, 2 on a small area. And then I think they need 3 more people in New Jersey and New York and 1 more location, I think Texas. And next, those are short projects.
I'm listening to you and how your employment system works with your consultants, and it's a much more efficient way of delivering an employee to a company. It was amazing when I spent a lot of time sailing in Europe, and what I found over there is that people didn't like to move from their home, and so if somebody was living in France and there was a job in Sweden, they might not move because they want to stay there. In the U.S., people will go to California, Texas, all over the place, and that's efficient. You can, and what you're saying is, the old way was where you worked for a place for 50 years or something, 40 years, and you didn't move, and if you lost your job, you were in big trouble. But if you deliver employees, if you connect employees and employers this way, it's able to adapt and flow, and it's less risky to the economy.
Right. And also this company based head office is Connecticut. They have a location in Michigan. They wanted somebody for 1 week. If I had offered them a person from New York or New Jersey, they probably will say, for 1 week, it's going to be very expensive. So I said, okay, you are in Michigan, I'll give you a local person who lives in Michigan, within a few miles of that. Since I place my ads on Dice.com, and that's a universal, actually international company, we can pick any person, hire anybody from any part of the world. That works very well for those people, employees, as well as companies.
What's that site?
Dice.
D-I-C?
D-I-C, Dice.com.
Got it. And what is it? I don't know what it is.
They are basically recruiting in the recruiting business. If I need somebody and a Java programmer, I place an ad on Dice that, okay, this is a salary level, experience level, this is what I'm looking for. I can place the ad on Dice for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, as long as I need. I pay to Dice to do this work. They charge from me, and that's how I get person from any part of the world if I need for a client.
And, all right, so going back to you as the business owner, okay, I'm sure as your company has grown, your skill set has had to change and adapt to your company. It's now much different today than when you started. So what have been your biggest learning lessons, since 2003? Where have you grown as an individual and a business leader?
It's more into the marketing world, basically. And I was a technology person all my life. I never did marketing not even once I had to do, because I was basically a tech person. When I started this, my wife said, look, you're starting all by yourself. Who will do marketing for you? I said, well, I'll do it myself. You in marketing? I never did that. I thought, let's watch. So this is, when you go to a new company, you tell them about yourself. You're a small one-man show or just 2 employees. They'll say, okay, we are giving a contract to this company. What if they cannot deliver?
Yeah.
So that's the biggest problem I had even now with the big companies, they don't feel comfortable. You're still a small company. If you mess up,
Yeah.
and look, I say, look, we are insured. You have a disability insurance and all those things covered. If something happens, you are covered with everything. But that's how somebody has to start with a small scale. So I went to the small companies. One thing that I did different was most companies in my business, if they need somebody for a 6-month project, great, we'll work with you. If the client says, look, I need somebody for 1 week. 1 week, what do I make from there? I'm not interested.
Interesting.
That's just where I was different. Look, you are a small company. I was a small company one day. If you go to IBM, they're going to charge you $300 per hour.
Yes.
Right.
And you will go out of business in 1 year. You need somebody for 1 week? I'll give somebody for 1 week. So
Yeah.
which
Found that niche.
most people don't do. So I started with more small companies.
Interesting.
Then gradually some of the bigger companies. And
And some of them grew probably. I mean, some of your companies you started with are probably much bigger now.
oh, yeah. No, of course, they're not multinationals, but of course,
Yeah.
compared to what they were. And over time, I think doing marketing is very important successfully. And I have some full-time sales staff now, and some are on a part-time basis. There's some people who are in this industry, want to make some extra money. I said, look, you can work with me on a commission basis. And you do the sales. If you succeed,
Yeah.
you get your sales fee. So there are some people like that also. But I have some full-time staff also on sales.
So how do your first salesperson? I'm sure that in the beginning you were doing all the sales.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what most business owners start that way. And then at some point you go, geez, I can grow a little faster if I bring on a salesperson or something like that happens. So what was that like bringing on your first salesperson?
Well, for a second I thought maybe I'm taking a risk, but then I thought, look, if I can do it, I mean, they need a coaching a little bit.
Yeah.
And I knew first 2 months I should not even expect this person to bring any revenue. So I was very clear on that.
Yeah.
And then I told, okay, how do you talk? We have some kind of a company marketing material. You give to them, you talk to somebody, you send this electronic copies of complete literature. That's how you explain to them. They will call you. This is the type of question they'll ask. That's how you should answer. Some clients may not like your answers because you're just new into this. It doesn't matter. If you lose a client just because you gave a wrong answer, don't worry about that. This happens with everybody. Coaching was very important initially, and that worked very well.
It's interesting because you, having been through it, understood that mistakes were a part of the process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, anybody who works for me, they know. One mistake and you lose a job, no, that doesn't happen in this company.
Right, right.
We all learn from mistakes.
Sure.
We do. I did many mistakes in my professional life. Fine.
So how are they marketing in today's environment? Do they do networking? Do they go to events? Do they call people? Do they send emails? I mean, what's the system that you use to promote your business?
Two major areas. One is some of the network meetings we have in different towns. We do that. And second is, we read some of those big magazines, the CIO magazine or Information Week. There are some companies, their advertisements.
Okay.
So there we get an idea, okay, well, this is a person in this technology field is a CIO. Maybe he's the person I should try to talk to. We give a call, I'm so-and-so, we heard about you, and that's how the call starts.
I'm sure you tried a lot of things before you figured out what works. So it sounds like, well, what is the most effective marketing? It sounds like is doing a little advertising, doing a little networking. Is it kind of a combination like that? I mean, do you have guys making 2,000 phone calls in a day? I mean, does that work?
Oh, no, not that much. The cold call doesn't really work. We first try to pinpoint some individuals. Either say, you go to any site, there's an advertisement. Somebody plays an ad for some reason. Yeah. I go to this company's website. Okay, they seem to be a company who might need kind of people we do, or services that we do. Then we try to find out, okay, who is the decision maker in that company, a CTO, IT director level person. Yeah. And then in some cases, I do it myself. Some cases, I tell one of my salespeople, okay, go and talk to him. Now, my salespeople mostly are not technical people. They are more salespeople. So look, point will come where you will find it difficult to answer their question. And that point, pull me in. Right. So I let them do the initial discussion. When there is some interest and they say, okay, we might like to talk to you. And then I get in and we talk. So that's how it has been. Advertising, yes. My ads are there. I mean, that's the only way people will know. Right. In my business, ads on TV will have no meaning because the kind of clients I have I'll not get from there. Right. It's online advertising, basically. Got it. Do you have a question?
You you had mentioned earlier that one of the ways that you got business was by companies who were letting their own people go. Mm-hmm. Are you still finding that as a source of new business? I would
Actually,
think in these times.
That's more now.
It's a very innovative way to get business.
Among my friends, and with these people and companies I work with, most of my clients at companies, I hear from somebody, my company is going to fire 100 people next week and I'm scared. I ask them, okay, just tell me the name of the CIO or president of the company. Maybe I'll do something. I said, well, once he tells me the name, I approach them. Okay, I know we're in this business. I know every company is going through that. I don't tell them that I know you're going to fire some people. I said, look, I know you're in a crisis, but if you're in this situation that you have staff, but you really don't need them 40 hours a week, if you need to cut down, I can help you. Don't fire them. I'll hire them.
And what's their response when you tell them? I would think that, I don't know myself, if someone said that to me, I would feel maybe relief. No one wants to fire. Firing is such a hard thing to do.
They do feel positive about that, but they also say, look, how you will be successful in doing that. They just don't believe that can happen.
Okay. And then what do you say? How do you?
I say, look, it's happening. Okay, if you think I cannot do it, you'll kick the person out of the job anyway.
That's true.
So if you think he'll never get a job with me, then he had lost the job anyway because you're going to do this next Friday. Why don't you take a chance? Then they say, okay, it's done. At least you are not going to pay insurance benefits for these 8 people.
Right.
Starting next week, you're not going to pay any salary, but you still want some of those people. You'll be getting those people. What do you lose? Nothing. And if you think I cannot do that, you will lose them anyway on next Friday.
Because there's always the other side of a job reduction is the morale of the people that are still at the company. Because then they say, oh, great, usually there isn't any increased salary, and yet there's an increased workload.
Yeah.
So I could see that, the people within the company wouldn't know about that, but down the road, they say, oh, maybe I'm working with these people again. That's a big positive.
Yeah, they still work with the same company. And in some cases, they may not be getting 40 hours job for some time, but at least they don't lose the job. They can still feed their families. That's where is my main approach in thinking, why should anybody lose a job if there's a way we can do that? I know those big companies will not even like my idea. Look, what are you talking? That's the only way we can cut down. I started writing. I started a monthly newsletter. I write on some internet sites to tell people, look, this is feasible and I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Don't ruin the life of these people.
Yeah.
One person goes down, his whole family suffers.
Yeah.
And in this economy, they won't get a job for 6 months, 1 year.
Yeah, yeah.
It's true.
It's not 2001 recession.
The natural thing that comes into my mind is, okay, so the economy has been shrinking recently. At some point, it'll start expanding. And some of the people that are consultants, the companies might come to you and say, I want to hire this guy full time. When that happens, how do you handle that? Because that's the other side of this sort of equation is that some of the companies might want to bring on your guys full time. Is there a buyout clause in the agreement when they use them, or how does it work?
What we do is that in that case, they are my employees. It's just like you're hiring a new person, and you go to a staffing agency. What do? You pay them a funder's fee.
Got it.
But I give them some concession because this same person has been working with you for 6 months as a consultant anyway for 10 hours a week.
Yeah, yeah.
So you'll not have to pay as much as a new client comes to me and asks to hire somebody.
Got it.
But you pay a little bit so that I don't lose because I'm losing this person right away.
Sure.
The person who's working with you for 10 hours a week actually works 40 hours a week with 3 other people.
Yes.
If you hire them tomorrow, I'm having a problem with my 3 other clients. What do?
Yeah.
If same thing happens with 10 people on the same day, I'm down.
Yeah, that's not good for you.
I think it hasn't happened, but I think this stage will come in within 1 year.
Sure.
So I have actually told them this. Look, things will change. You will improve. You may need those people back. At that time, we'll discuss terms and conditions, but you will not be stopped from hiring the same people again if you have to.
Where do you see, your company? We're sort of getting to the end of the show, so I'd like to look at the future, a little bit. So, when you started the company, you sort of thought, well, I'll be a one-person, database company, and then you quickly realized you could grow a lot bigger. I'm sort of curious, given where you are right now. Where do you see you taking the company? In the next 5 years.
I think what has not happened is most of the big companies coming to me mainly because I'm a very small company. And I think this building this reputation, people have started learning about us. There will be time probably one of the bigger companies will say, okay, this is a place where we can give them a kind of a long-term turnkey project and software development. Mm-hmm. When that happens, for that kind of project, one person is not enough. Probably I'll be hiring 20, 30 people. They're working exclusively for that one client on one project. And that's where I think I'll be able to widen my network. More people will be on the job. But I can tell you, whether the economy is up or down, not a single person will lose their job. There was a time, one of my salespeople, for 8 months, she did not bring a single penny. But she'll lose a job, and she knows the way I look at the world. And I think slightly she's relieved. Okay, it's not happening to me.
Yeah.
She's scared. I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
Because every company is going down. The one day, if I go down, she knows I'm paying her salary from my pocket.
Yes.
But she is still there. I mean, she's been more than 1 year with me, and
that's great.
I know she works hard. Not getting business, economy is down. There's nothing. I talk to many clients. I don't get all of them.
Yeah. Well, congratulations in growing a business from scratch. It's not easy, and it sounds like you've got a wonderful company with some really nice goals, which include servicing your customers and providing to your employees. So it's nice.
Okay. One thing I would want to add.
Sure.
We hear a lot about people losing jobs because some of the jobs are going outsourced to other countries, and more people, they're well qualified, but they are American nationals. Some of these big companies, they go to other countries and hire people because they have to pay much less to those people. Mm-hmm. And I realized probably that's happening too. But one thing that's surprising me is I place all my ads on Dice.com, which is pretty number one in the technology.
Yeah.
And there are some positions where I have to have a U.S. citizen. Mm-hmm. I make it very clear in the ad that I need a U.S. citizen only. Mm-hmm. What surprises me is I get 100 applications. 99% are non-U.S. citizens. Only one and sometimes even zero. Why are U.S. citizens not applying for jobs that are only for U.S. citizens? And in this case, even if the person is not a top-notch star, he'll get the job because we need a U.S. citizen for that client.
That's interesting.
I am not able to understand why this is happening. And my ads are not in a small website somewhere. Yeah. This is an international company, Dice.com. How it's happening? And I know people are losing jobs.
Yeah.
Are they so frustrated they don't apply for the job? Tell them. They shouldn't be frustrated. There are jobs. Sometimes, especially the U.S. citizens' only job, why you shouldn't apply?
Sure.
Why I don't get applications from U.S. citizens? They know anybody. Sometimes the one single person who applies, he gets a job because he's the only U.S. citizen who applied for that position. Why are they not applying? I'm not able to understand that.
Well, this could lead us to a whole nother conversation. But one of the things I've seen is there's a lot of people. The U.S. economy tends to attract the hardest working people from around the world.
Oh, yes.
And so sometimes the people that are coming in, whether they're living here or living in their country but want to work here, their work ethic is very, very strong. And in some cases, they might have more motivation than someone that lives here. So one of the things that's benefited this country for so many years is the people that come into it and work hard. So it's actually not surprising to me in a way. I mean, that occurs, but I think to your point, if you're an American, just keep looking for a job. You'll find one.
Oh, yeah.
There are jobs out there.
They shouldn't get frustrated.
Yeah.
I mean, they should apply for the job.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Varesh, thank you so much. It was great having you here. And his company is DBA Web Technologies, and we're speaking with Varesh Sachdev, who is the president of DBAtechnologies.com. And you can reach him at 203-267-5219 if you have any questions. And we'd love to have you back sometime. So thank you so much, Varesh.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Varesh.
Thank you.
And this has been the Greenwich Entrepreneurs Podcast, and we will see you again soon. Thanks.
Thank you.